Did you hear about the Greg Abbott canvasser who was fired for laughing at Greg Abbott? Republicans on their cancel culture. Monique Dawson says she was fired after she joked with a man who said he'd never back governor for re-election. What?
Hi, are you Mr. Whitfield?
Yes.
I'm not volunteering for Greg Abbott, and we wanted to know if we count on your support for his upcoming election.
Absolutely not.
Everybody got to have a job, sir. Remember? Thank you for your support or not support.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
God damn, dude. Okay. Dude, what's up with these videos like where the voice is so loud? It's like he uploaded the video and got her fired. Yeah, she was just trying to... Dude, your desktop's like 5 times louder than me. Yeah, I think something happened to my audio settings again. It happens randomly. Better supporters raised 20K for her. It's your volume management. Last videos were loud as well. No, dude. I've never had these kinds of issues before. It's a new thing. Here, let's watch this inflation video by CIA's very own Johnny Harris.
No fancy music. I just want to explain inflation in 6 minutes. I have a degree in economics. I spent years trying to understand this.
Bro, this mother always has to have, I swear to God, he always has to have like multiple like points of him pointing to like papers, cutting papers with like a, I don't know. He's always got to show you the proof.
So let's see if I can boil it down. What is inflation? Why is it rising? Why are people worried? And what do interest rates have to do with it?
The Federal Reserve is raising the interest rate
to raise interest rates.
Highest inflation in 40 years.
Listen, I know that I make long videos. I'm into nuance. I'm into backstory. Well, this isn't that. This is quick. No, really, this is quick. Let's go.
Hate watcher? No, I'm not a hate watcher. I'm a love watcher.
Rewind. Here we go. Okay, first up, the simplest definition. Inflation is when there is more money in the economy than stuff to spend it on. But if you're like me, the simplest definition never does it for you. So let's try this. Imagine a village that has one market where people buy all of their stuff, their food, their clothes. But one day the government shows up because they're worried about the economy of this village. So they tell the people that if they—
10 House Republicans voting with D's to raise assault rifle age of 21. No shot. Are you serious? Oh, House Republicans. Oh my God. Oh Jesus, dude! I thought you meant Senate. I was like freaking out, dude. It's the House. They don't even need to. Who gives a like? I thought you for a second. I thought you meant like in the Senate. The Republicans are voting along. Why you gotta do that, bro? The song gonna be wrong again, Jay. Dude, I don't give a. I would love to be wrong every goddamn day for the rest of my life, as long as like I have a pessimistic attitude and like the government is actually doing things. Okay,
they want to take out a loan, they're going to make sure that the banks will not charge them a high interest rate. They want to encourage the people to take out loans and spend money. Oh, and they also drop off a giant pile of cash for everyone in the village, and everyone in the village is like, sweet, I'm feeling pretty rich. Villagers now are going to their market and they're buying way more stuff. Many of them have been eyeing the fancy electric bike in the market that before they couldn't justify, but now they totally can because they have all this new money. The store owner's like, sweet, this is great for business, but he's running out of bikes. In fact, he's running out of everything because now all of these people have extra money and they're buying way more than they used to. The store owner's like, I can't keep up with all this demand. I should raise prices. And that is inflation. But the village is all of us, and the market is the entire economy. When there's extra money floating around and people want to spend it faster than businesses can make stuff, then all of the businesses in all of the industries raise their prices, and that is inflation. It's a natural part of the economy. It's kind of a good thing in small doses because it means that the economy is growing, and it's why movie tickets used to be 25 cents and now they're like $15. And slowly over time, it's fine. Okay, let's go back to the village and see what happens if we keep going at this rate. The store owner has now doubled his prices on bikes. The interest rate is super low, so he takes out a loan to build a new factory to make bikes. This is good. He's growing a business. But the government money eventually runs out, and his prices are still double. But now the store...
This is such a typical Econ 101 answer for this. And yet, if it was so simple, how the f is it duping economists over and over again? Like, I don't understand. Like, something has to be fundamentally wrong about this, right? Anyway.
owner has no one to come buy all of his new bikes. And now he has this factory and more employees, but no customers. He has to shut.
No, the shortage of, okay, a couple things happened over the course of the pandemic, okay? Obviously, the supply chains that are very fragile because they have completely eliminated redundancy. The just-in-time supply chains are incredibly fragile. So when that happened and people started panic buying in the beginning, there was a lot more demand and not enough supply. And then there was a lot less demand immediately after for there was a lot less demand for immediately after for so many other goods. Obviously, those were some of the factors that played into it that completely eviscerated the supply chains that we had. But supply and demand is not perfect in the way that econ theorists claim it is. Especially considering that, for example, corporations' profits have not actually fallen in this process.
Shut down the factory, lay off everyone, and slowly start lowering his prices.
I mean, he basically glances over profit-seeking in the process where he talks about how he needs to increase the costs because more people are buying it. So it's speculative. It's speculation that like more people are going to purchase these items. So he's increasing the cost. Everyone is doing that. And that's where, and that's a big part of the reason.
Called recession. When COVID shut down the world, governments gave us money, free money. They're like, don't panic and hoard all your money. Instead, spend and borrow and keep the economy going. Here in the US, they literally sent us $3,200 checks. They gave $600 a week to people who were unemployed for months and months and months. They gave subsidies to people with kids. They increased spending on food stamps. I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars of stimulus money. This was vital aid to people in need. But even people who didn't lose a job got a check in the mail. It was free money for everyone. And we spent it.
I just picked up myself a new bike. Demand is up across the country.
It's time to grind, Peloton.
We all just got these big checks from the government. During a pandemic, we're like, YOLO, I'm buying a boat or a Peloton or whatever.
Pokemon cards.
There's Netflix.
Fortnite.
A new motor.
Peloton.
Soak in a hot tub.
Animal Crossing.
Push it out a little bit so it fits.
No! I don't think he's wrong about this, by the way. Like, there was an asset bubble. Part of the reason why cryptos popped the off in this process is quite literally what he's describing. People had disposable income for the first time ever, with nowhere else to pay. You didn't have any goods or services you could pay for, so you started buying dumb shit. Obviously, the boat thing is an exaggeration, but he's not wrong about that. He's actually not wrong about that at all.
Don't you dare!
But pair all this new spending with the fact that the pandemic also made it harder for factories and ships and retailers to get us all this stuff.
Supply chain issue.
Global supply chain.
Supply chain.
Supply chain!
So now you have an economy where people have way more money than normal and they're ready to spend it, but the economy can't get them stuff fast enough. So what do businesses do with all this insane new demand? They raise prices all at the same time, and that is inflation. I feel like we're getting this at this point. But what do interest rates have to do with all this?
Raising the interest rate.
Interest rate.
Or the Fed.
Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve.
Most countries have a central bank, the puppet master of the economy, the bank of all banks for that country. But it's not like a normal bank that stores our money and then lends it out and collects interest to make profit. That's what a normal private bank does. The central bank, which we call the Fed here in the US, is run by the government. So their job is to set the rules or policies that all the other banks have to follow. And the central bank isn't motivated by profit, but rather their job is to babysit the economy, to keep it growing, to make sure people have jobs, to make sure that prices don't fluctuate too much so that we can keep growing nicely. No slowdown, no recession. That is what the Fed is there for. But seriously, the Fed is like a puppet master, and we are the puppets, and it's kind of creepy. They pull strings in the economy to get us to spend our money in a certain way, which in turn affects how much businesses raise or drop their prices. And guess what? It totally works. One of the strings that they have to pull in the economy is called the interest rate. Want to borrow money to buy a car or a house or expand your business? You're going to be way more likely to do that if you only have to pay 2% interest on that loan as opposed to like 6%. Lower interest rates equal people and businesses want to borrow and spend money. So during the pandemic, the central bank was like, we need everyone to spend money. So they lowered the interest rate and people borrowed and people spent, and it totally worked.
Yeah. Totally. That's the only time the interest rate was lowered. But that's crazy. Okay, this part I don't actually... I mean, I agree with the theory, but the idea that, like, we haven't been doing quantitative easing for the past, what, like, 20 years? What the Like, that's the fuck are you talking about, dude? What do you mean? Inflation has steadily increased regardless, but also on top of that, it skyrocketed this past year.
We're like freaking puppets. So a low interest rate helps stimulate the economy, but once again, we're in this same place where there's now too much money to borrow and spend and not enough goods and services to spend it on. So what do businesses do all at the same time? They raise prices to meet all this new demand all at the same time, and now your money is worth less, and that is inflation.
Home prices rising at their highest
Astronomical bidding war.
Rents are going up
by nearly 24%.
So that's what's happening right now. All the prices are rising kind of at the same time. What that means is that your $100 bill is now worth 8% less than it was last year. Like the same money is worth less because your purchasing power just got diluted. And imagine if that keeps happening. Like instead of 8%, it's 50%. Now your $100 bill is worth what $50 used to be. And that's when people start to freak out. And our economy that's built on human psychology starts to falter and we fall into a recession or a depression even, if it gets real bad, which is exactly what the Fed is built to avoid. So they're back to pulling their strings and they've started raising rates.
The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates.
Federal Reserve taking action to try and curb rising inflation.
They're gently raising the interest rate to cool down all of this hardcore spending and borrowing. See if they can steer the ship back on course. And let's hope it works. Okay, did we do it? Did we do it in the time period that I promised I would? I have no idea. We'll find out. Okay, last thing I want to say is a thing that didn't make it into my little...
Companies raise prices regardless, okay? Inflation happens regardless of whether you have more money in circulation or not, regardless of whether you have enough spending power or not. The asset bubble definitely played a role, but ultimately the main problem there is profit seeking. The main issue in that circumstance is treating the economy like a naturally occurring phenomena that is completely devoid of any kind of like outside influence. Mainly, for example, another cooling mechanism that no one seems to talk about is taxes. Okay, the only way to combat inflation is not the increasing of interest rates, which is fine. You can do that as well, but it's also fucking taxes, dude. It's not $2,000 checks that people got, and you have like trillions of dollars being pumped into the market, and also another billion being given in the form of PPP so that small business owners can go buy yachts. The motherfuckers didn't buy yachts with their $2,000 checks. They bought yachts with the PPPs. There's gonna be a certain point. There's gonna be a certain fucking place where like everyone has to be like, okay, maybe this entire economy based on speculation with like every corporation functionally becoming like a financial institution is probably not the best thing, especially considering the reality that the people that control the levers of economy, control the levers of the market, that own all of the assets are personally sidestepping the government and not paying taxes, and instead engaging in buy, borrow, die, which is basically just swapping money. Instead of giving the money that you were supposed to give to the government, using your assets as collateral to take money out of the bank and then paying the bank back in the form of interest rates. Or like you're literally taking and instead of giving money to the government, you're giving the money back to the financial institution at a much lower rate. And because of that, banks will offer you super low interest rate loans regardless, especially if you have that. This guy looks like a Mormon. He's an ex-Mormon. Every dollar printed by the Fed has an inherent debt attached to it that the government owes the Fed. Inflation is baked into the system. They don't own all the assets. They own most of them, but I'm going to get mad at the relatively small amount you have in a home which you live. Yeah, no, that's stupid as. But basically, that is the reality. Your take is so bad when it comes to inflation, shaking my head. There's a huge difference between 2% and 8% inflation. Oh my God, your econ takes are so bad. What do you mean? Your econ takes so bad, shaking my head. Your econ takes so bad, shaking my head. Explain what you mean instead of crying in the chat. I'm giving you the opportunity to speak your truth, my friend. The one thing that is maintained, the one thing that has like been the exact same, if not skyrocketed, is the rate of profit. Okay, profits have grown dramatically throughout this entire time. Part of that is because companies, corporations, everyone personally. What the fuck? Stav got food poisoning? No way. That's so funny. Yeah, of course Jeff Bezos thinks Biden is wrong about this, by the way. Bezos was wrong and Biden was right. Taxing the wealthy will help tame inflation. COVID hit Charlie Kirk hard.
I'm saying two independent true things. So America is not systemically racist. Also, we're the least racist country ever to exist in the history of the world. Can you say two true things?
In his defense, you did say this has been going on for 20 years, but really it's been going on for over 100. Can't blame him for thinking you don't know much. Now, I was talking about specifically quantitative easing, and I was off by like 4 years on that one too, so shut the... I was really hoping you would tear this video apart. It's complete capitalist propaganda, but instead you agree with some of it, Sag. I mean, dude, if we live in a capitalist economy, we live under a capitalist economy. So what he's describing is correct in terms of like how we are operating under a capitalist economy. You have to take into account on M2 money supply at a different rate. Profits are up, yes, but profits are not the cause of inflation. They're a symptom. Taxing consumers, not specifically, not the wealthy. Oh. Bezos, not Biden. Damn, WAPO came out hot with the Joseph Robinette Biden is wrong about taxing the wealthy. No, you're right, chatter. Yeah, profits are simply a symptom, dude. Yeah, you're right. You're right and I'm wrong because you look at the economy as a naturally occurring phenomena. You're right. But then when someone says, okay, if it's natural for corporations to constantly seek profit and increase profit by looking at how much people have, how much money people have to be able to increase their prices, then there should be some level of restriction on that naturally occurring phenomena. That symptom needs to be alleviated. You go, no, that's not, you can't do that. You can't actually do that. So what can you do? What, allow, deregulate the federal government so that like more companies can make bathtub medicine or something? Is that how you're going to do it? Or bathtub cars? That's the only way to defeat it, right? Thank you, dude. I love Econ 101 boys in the chat. Yeah, it's called competition. Yeah, totally, dude. I love competition. I love having the Ford Pinto attitude come back. We need to make bathtub Ford Pintos. Anyway, competition between 5 people out of 300 million. An econ major who can't afford a sub. Why are we listening to him? Yeah, you're a broke boy, dude. Get some more money and then we can... Habibi, that's a nice straw man. Wait, why'd you ban him? I want to hear from this boy. Explain what your take is then, Habibi. Atriok explaining inflation to Zoomers. That was cool. I feel cool as... I'm not gonna lie, that was easy peasy. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.